IS, LM, and BP. IS represent goods market. LM represent financial market. BP represent external sector. So IS represent goods market, or we call real sector. So anything happen with the goods market or real sector will affect the IS curve shift left or shift right. For example, export import or net export increase or decrease. If net export increase, IS will shift right. If net export decrease, IS will shift left. Another one with fiscal policy. If expansionary fiscal policy, IS will shift right. If contractionary fiscal policy, IS will shift left. LM just now we mentioned it represent financial market. So if there is a capital inflow and outflow will cause the LM curve to shift left or right. And then if there's a monetary policy, expansionary or contractionary will cause the LM to shift right or left also. BP external sector, we use an example to represent is current exchange rate. So if exchange rate depreciate, that BP curve will move right. If exchange rate appreciate or currency appreciate, then the BP curve will shift left. Now, any point on the IS curve represent equilibrium in the good market. Any point on the LM curve represent equilibrium in the LM market. Right? So LM curve and IS curve cross. That means internal financial market equilibrium and external market also internal goods market also equilibrium. So at E0. So when at E0, it represent ISLM curve cross also represent internal financial and goods market equilibrium. So we can say that ISM cross represent internal balance. Any point on the BP line is external balance. So if the ISLM cross at the BP line or the EO fall at the on top of the BP line, so it's also external balance. So the E0 here represent internal balance and external balance because these three lines cross together. And this line cross together at the YE. This YE actually is below the YF. That means this YE represent unemployed. In this case, we have internal balance, external balance, and unemployed. So if you are wanted to achieve internal balance and external balance is full employment, you are given some situation. For example, flexible exchange rate. You only have two, flexible exchange rate and fixed exchange rate. So when flexible exchange rate increase or decrease, if fixed, then it cannot be changed. Then another thing to take note is capital mobility. If your capital mobility is elastic, then your BP curve is flatter than the LM curve. If your capital mobility is inelastic, then your BP curve is steeper than the LM curve. Right? In flexible exchange rate, you are usually asked to use one of the policy to achieve internal balance, external balance, and full employment. Let's use example. Now you have internal balance, external balance, and full employment, but you are asked to use fiscal. You want to increase the output, so you go for expansionary fiscal policy. Expansionary fiscal policy, because fiscal policy affect the IS curve, the goods market. So the IS curve or IS line shift to the right to IS. So you see shift to the right. Here is due to achieve the full employment. But even though you achieve full employment, you have external surplus. Cannot fulfill the requirement. Internal balance, external balance, and full employment. What can you do is you go further. When you're at external surplus, currency will appreciate because external surplus incoming foreign currency is more than outgoing foreign currency. So currency will appreciate. So when currency appreciate, BP shift left. When your currency appreciate, you are affected your net export because currency appreciate, your export will less competitive. So export, your import will increase. Then it means in summary, when your currency you have net export decrease. Net export affect the IS goods market. So net export decrease, the IS shift left, shift to IS2. Currency appreciate and the net export decrease, both also cause your price to go down, your domestic price drop. So when your domestic price drop, your real money increase because real money is nominal money divided by price. So if price drop, your real money divided by price. So real money increase, money is monetary, will cause the monetary line will shift to the right. So at the end, achieve E2. So from the start until the end, E go to E1, E1 go to E2, YE go to YF. So at the E2, you achieve internal external balance because IS, LM, BP curve cross together, and you see your E2 is at YF. So you also achieve, so at E2 and YF, you achieve what you want, internal balance, external balance, and full employment. If we change a bit, inelastic capital mobility, BP line or BP curve is the same. BP line is steeper than the LM line. Inelastic BP is steeper than LM, just like your supply curve. If inelastic is steeper, elastic is flatter. In this case, you are also instructed to use fiscal policy. As you try to increase your output, use fiscal policy, you have expansionary fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is IS curve, so expansionary is shift right. So expansionary fiscal policy is IS curve shift right. E1. E1 is below the BP line. So E1 you achieve full employment but below the BP line. So E1 you have external deficit. When you have external deficit, your currency will depreciate. In this case, we assume depreciation is good, then BP curve will shift to the right. The flexible exchange rate, net export is IS. So net export in IS curve will shift to the right. Then you draw the IS curve. You see IS0 shift to IS1 because of the expansionary fiscal policy, and then to IS2 is because of the net export. Currency depreciate and net increase also cause your price to go. When your price go up, your nominal money divided by price also decrease. So therefore, when your price go up, real money decrease. When real money decrease, your M shift to the left. At the end, at E2, you also notice IS cross together. So at E2, you achieve internal and external balance, and YF here, full employment. So E2, you achieve what you want. Next, instead of, based on the first one, right, elastic capital mobility, the first example is we use fiscal policy, elastic capital mobility. Second is inelastic. So first we use first elastic capital mobility, but if we are to use monetary policy, again, elastic capital mobility mean BB curve is flatter. Right? Flatter, you see the steepness flatter than M curve. If you are instructed to use monetary policy, given this example and this flexible exchange rate, right, internal and external balance but unemployment, so you are asked to achieve internal and external balance with full employment. You are instructed to use monetary policy, so you want to increase output because you have unemployment. So you have expansionary monetary policy. Expansionary monetary policy will cause the LM curve to shift right, cross the IS at the YF level. Therefore, you have the E1 here. Here you achieve full employment but external deficit because E1 here is below the BP line. So under the flexible exchange rate, when you have external, your currency will depreciate. Currency depreciate means BP shift to the export become more competitive. Therefore, you have net export increase. Net export increase will cause your IS curve shift to the right. So IS shift to IS1. Currency depreciate and net export increase will also affect your price level. These two will cause your price level to move up. So price increase, and when your price real money decrease. Real money decrease mean LM shift left to LM2. So from here you notice LM shift to LM shift right to LM1 because of the expansionary monetary policy. Then from LM1 shift to LM shift left to LM2 is because of the real money decrease. So at the end you have E2 here, IS, LM, and BP cross together. you and two together at the YF output level. YF represent full employment. So at the E2, you achieve internal balance and full employment. You see the process, for example, from monetary policy to inelastic monetary policy, you also have similar, but of course slightly different equilibrium path, right? So inelastic capital mobility, repeat again, if inelastic capital mobility mean BP curve steeper than LM curve. Use the supply elasticity of the supply curve as a guide. So if supply curve is inelastic, that means steeper. So if capital mobility is inelastic, that means BP is steeper than the LM curve. So again, if you use monetary policy, given the initial situation E0, BP, LM, IS cross together, mean you have internal balance and external balance, but at YE, E0 cross together at YE, that means you are internal balance, external balance, and full employment using monetary policy, assuming flexible exchange rate, assuming inelastic capital mobility. So increase output, monetary policy, you have expansionary monetary policy. Monetary policy LM. So LM to LM1. LM shift right to M1, you shift on the white point here, you achieve full employment at the E1 is below the seed. Make currency depreciate and net export increase will also cause your price to increase or up. So price increase will cause real money supply decrease. So LM shift left. So at the end, you get to E2 point where ISLM cross together with BP. Right? New IS, new LM cross with new BP. Therefore, you have internal balance and external balance. This E2 also cross at the YF level. Therefore, you also have full employment. So you fulfill what is wanted. Internal balance, external balance, and full employment. If you are given a situation where fixed exchange rate, that means currency is fixed, exchange rate is fixed, no change. Therefore, BP curve cannot change. So in this case, it's a slightly different situation. Now, based on this graph, let's say this graph is the initial situation. So initially, your LM and IS cross at this E0, right? Cross internal balance. So this internal balance is crossed at YE. YE is below YF. So you have unemployment. E0 is also above the BP line. Therefore, you have external surplus because E0 is above the BP line, external surplus. From this graph also, we can see BP line is flatter than LM. Flatter than LM means capital mobility is elastic. You are given fixed exchange rate. Notice here, there's no instruction on which policy you use. So to achieve what is wanted, internal balance, external balance, and full employment, you have to move IS and LM curve to this point, full employment and external balance. Full employment is YF, external balance is on the BP line, so there's only one point here. So you need to have expansionary monetary policy, LM shift right until expansionary fiscal policy. So at E1 is a conclusion, E0 to E1, YE to YF. So at E1, you see all the LM, BP, the YF level at E1. So you achieve what is wanted: internal balance, external balance, and full employment. Now, if we change a bit from elastic capital mobility to elastic capital mobility, you note that the BP line is now steeper than the LM. Right? LM and IS cross at E0 at YE. That means you have internal balance and unemployment. And this E0 is above the BP. That means you have external surplus. So the current situation is internal balance, unemployment, because ISM crossed at YE, which is less than YF, YS full employment. Then your E0 is above the VP, so you have external surplus. How can you achieve internal balance, external balance, and full employment? You use expansionary monetary policy. You have to cross YF with the BP. So external expansionary monetary policy, LM should write expansionary fiscal policy. So finally, you come to E1. You move from YE to YF. So at the E1, you have all the three line IS, LM, BP cross at the YF. So you have internal balance, external balance, and full employment. Take note that there's the same situation: unemployment, internal balance, fixed exchange rate, external surplus, inelastic capital mobility, and you draw slightly differently. The BP line become more steeper. You'll get rid of both expansionary policy. You have now contractionary monetary policy and expansionary fiscal policy. Both answer is correct. Based on the same situation, depending on how you draw, you might get two different answers. Now, let's say this situation is ISM cross at E0 here, YE is below. So unemployment, your internal balance, and this E0, I mean ISM cross at below the BP, E0 below BP line, that means you have external deficit. BP line is steeper than the LM line, that means you have inelastic capital mobility. You are given situation where the exchange rate is fixed. How to achieve internal balance, external balance, and full employment? You use both policy. From YF, you need to have YF here. You need to shift the LM curve to the left, or in other words, mean contractionary monetary policy, LM, and expansionary fiscal policy, IS shift right. So you shift from E0 to YE to. So at the final point E1, you notice that LS, MBP cross, so you have internal balance and external balance and full employment, which is fulfill what is wanted. Another different example is just slightly different on the situation. So elastic capital mobility, fixed exchange rate also, but now it's external deficit. External deficit, so E0 point must be below the BP line. You see, ISM cross internal balance at E0, YE is to the left of the YF, mean unemployment, and E0 is below the BP line, so external deficit. Wanted to achieve internal balance, external balance, and full employment. So full employment is YF. You want to achieve this one. You want to achieve also external balance, which is represented by the BP curve. This point is the only point. Therefore, to come to here, you must shift the LM to the right. So in this case, it's expansionary monetary policy. LM shift right to LM1 and or plus expansionary fiscal policy. I shift to the right. Therefore, for E0 now successfully go to E1, YE now go to YF. So at the E1, YF, IS, LM, BP cross together, they will have internal balance, external balance, and full employment.